Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Paul Leslie, content creator here at ZeroBounce, and it is my great pleasure to sit down with a passionate cybersecurity expert. Vlad Cristescu is the head of cybersecurity at ZeroBounce. He's been quoted in numerous publications. He's been featured on television with his expertise. He's a very interesting guy, and thank you so much for making a little time and talking to me today. It's an honor.
Paul, yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, it's amazing to be here as well.
Thank you. Well, Vlad, for people out there who may not know, what is ZeroBounce all about, and what part do you play in the company's mission?
Well, hopefully by now a lot more people know about us, but for the ones that don't, we're all about deliverability. Yeah, we aim to help businesses reach customer inboxes and ensure that they have a healthy sender reputation, right? And when we do this through a flurry of tools, but I would say email validation and email scoring is our bread and butter. Though I think the main warm-ups are kind of catching up as well, yeah? So we've got a number of services all around deliverability with our bread and butter being validation. I would say that's really... As for my role, well, we deal with a lot of sensitive data on behalf of our customers. So keeping that data secure is really what I do. So as the head of cybersecurity, I'm responsible for everything from infrastructure and data security, compliance, risk management, threat intelligence, monitoring in general, customer trust. That's another one that's a big one. I do integrate work with customers on a day-to-day basis to make sure that they have faith in us, and also just overall management of our security posture. And I'm sure the list can go on forever, but yeah, that's really what I do.
It's occurring to me, I mean, I've been seeing cybersecurity in the news more than ever, not just as it relates to personal email, people getting phishing attacks, but also, you have this map behind you. It's being discussed in terms of our international relations and things like that. But for the people out there, virtually everybody has an email inbox. When it comes to someone's personal email, what are some of the more common vulnerabilities that people should be aware of?
If we're talking about the personal email inbox, I would say phishing emails are the starting point. You want to make sure that you're aware of any fake messages that are literally tricking you into giving away your information or giving away access to your laptop or the device that you're connecting from. So I would definitely start with that. I think weak passwords, reuse passwords is probably another element that comes to mind when it comes to a high risk element. We're seeing more and more breaches happening. If you reuse your passwords across multiple accounts and one of those platforms gets hacked, then they're going to try and use that password across many other platforms until they find a place where it matches. We've got password managers. We've got all sorts of tools available to us today to kind of avoid that situation. So strong passwords, unique passwords with every portal that you use is a big one. Not using two-factor authentication for email accounts and any other platform in general is another one. So today's day, you can't not use email. You can't use two-factor authentication. You just have to have it everywhere. It's not an option anymore. Like hijacking your inbox can be done so easily by brute force without 2FA. So you need to have it. Another big one I would say is making sure that the attachments that you get are not malicious. Yeah, so make sure that an email you've received that has attachments, you know where it's coming from, you are expecting it, you are expecting that file in that particular format, and that you have an antivirus solution at hand to scan those files. So I think when it comes to personal inboxes, that's probably it.
Well, the one you listed, people using the same password for multiple accounts, I think that's definitely something that I hear about people doing all the time. Now, ZeroBounce is all about email validation, but does email validation also play a part? Does it play a role in cybersecurity?
I think yeah. Absolutely, yeah. If you think about it, email validation is not just a marketing and hygiene tool, right? So it's because it can extend beyond deliverability. It can become, let's call it a defensive cybersecurity practice. When you're sending out emails, you're kind of exposing yourself. You're exposing yourself to other identities. You're exposing yourself to bots. You're exposing to services that do email-based reconnaissance. Yeah. So making sure that you're only sending emails to the people you want to be sending emails to, and you avoid being blacklisted. You avoid having your inbox being marked as spam, all of those things can actually protect you as well. Yeah, because if you make it onto a blacklist, you won't be able to send out emails anymore, and your business could potentially suffer from no emails being sent out. Some sort of hacker list, then you've made your presence aware to them, and now you've become a target for specific hacker groups. So yeah, I would say definitely in order to prevent attacks, to mitigate fraud, to just protect your brand and just have a bit of hygiene, I would say email validation can come in and just help with that as well.
Absolutely. You've been with ZeroBounce for quite some time now, and even longer in the cybersecurity world. How has your perspective or approach to cybersecurity changed through the years?
Well, that's a deep one. I think off the top of my head, the biggest change for me has been a bit of a shift from being reactive to being proactive. So instead of only responding to incidents, I now really prioritize threat anticipation, just, having a zero trust architecture in place and just building systems that assume compromise, but limit let's call it the blast radius. Yeah. So I think that's been a major change for me. I've also kind of learned to look at prioritizing business impact, understanding where security is best suited and doesn't get in the way of the business as well. Yeah. So basically aligning security measures with the requirements of the business as well. Obviously, collaboration is key amongst departments, so you don't want cybersecurity to be stopping you from doing what you want to be doing. Yeah, I don't think it's a silo discipline anymore. Yeah, so you have to kind of embed cybersecurity in everything that you do. It's tied to legal, it's tied to compliance, it's tied to privacy, engineering, coding. It's everywhere. So you want to make sure that you're not in the way of those departments as they move through the business. So yeah, I think it's my approach has shifted really from reacting to just kind of putting in place measures to mitigate potential risks
Hmm. Now, Vlad, is there a part of you that ever feels a little bit like a detective?
all the time. That's part of my role, I think.
Yeah. All the stuff that you're saying, it kind of gave me that viewpoint. You're the first cybersecurity person that I've ever interviewed, so this is a very interesting thing for me. Now, from a company's perspective, what are the real risks with email? We see it sometimes in the headlines, but what should organizations be thinking about when it comes to their communication channels?
When it comes to risks, they're not that different from an individual as well. But obviously, brand reputation is probably the biggest one. And in general, I would say email is the most common method of communication outside of a company at the moment. So it is the lifeblood of getting in contact with your customers. So having measures in place to protect it is really, really vital. And it can be anything from having domain protections like DMARC, DKIM, SPF, the set of tools that are available to everyone now. These are fundamental protocols that prevent spoofing and impersonation. Having a very strict DMARC policy, which we also monitor as well. And we actually have a few services that help with that as well. So this is really essential to stop fraudulent use of your own domain. Using email gateways. So this is probably a bit of an older technology, but I still think they're relevant. They're advanced tools that are designed to prevent phishing, to look at the links that you come through an email and just analyze any potential malware. And they are cloud native nowadays, so they shouldn't really be a problem. They're built into Google Workspace, Office 365. So yeah, security gateways for email are really important. Obviously, in line with what I said before, having multi-factor authentication across the board is really, really important. That's another way of making sure that people don't gain access to your inboxes. And I would say having training as well is important. So going through regular security awareness training related to specific emails is important. Doing phishing tests is also important. Monitoring is another key element here. So just making sure that you're on top of the types of emails that you're receiving and you're observing anomalies. That's a big one. And I would say people need to encrypt emails more as well. A lot of emails nowadays are still not encrypted. And I think having tools in place that automatically encrypt emails that have sensitive content is probably another big step that companies should take. And when everything else fails, just have a really good incident response plan. Yeah. So just make sure that you're prepared for the things that could go wrong when it comes to issues that come across the email channel. Yeah.
Very good. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the interview, you've been featured in Newsweek magazine. You've commented on numerous online publications. You've been featured on network television. But what is the thing that people aren't talking about when it comes to cybersecurity? What should more people be paying attention to and talking about, but they aren't?
One thing that I'm always worried about, and people do talk about it, but not necessarily from this perspective. We hear about AI left and right. But what I think is still under discussed is the idea of manipulations through deep fakes, synthetic content, AI-driven social engineering. So we're seeing all the benefits that AI bring to our lives, but I think we're not discussing. I mean, obviously, outside of the Terminator scenario, I don't think we're looking at the smaller threats that are coming from the AI space. And I think this way of manipulating truth through AI is definitely something that we're going to be seeing quite a bit of. So I think it's important to kind of raise awareness. I'm seeing left and right older people being scammed by AI impersonating as their children or their children being, we're seeing all over the media when elections happen, AI being used to manipulate public opinion. I definitely think we need to have a more deep conversation about how AI is being used to manipulate us.
Very interesting. Now, Vlad, I'm going to ask a ridiculous question. If you were passing by in a boat and somebody saw you and they yelled up at you, Vlad, what is one tip for cybersecurity that I can do right now? And you have just a few seconds to yell back at them. What would you shout back?
Just go and change your password. Everyone's password is at least a year old. Just having a day where you go in and I'm going to change my password everywhere and have unique passwords everywhere. And if you do that once every 3 months, that's going to potentially save you a lot of heartache.
Very good. And something that they can do right now. Now, my last question, I always love this question. What is one simple thing anyone who's watching or reading this, anyone can do today to make today better?
I think we live in a world where communication is so easy, but it's all done through technology. And I think what we should really do is go back to being a bit more personal, reach out to someone we haven't talked to in a while, just to check in. It could be a colleague, a friend, maybe like a former mentor, and just have that face-to-face conversation or even a telephone conversation. That's still using technology, but it's different from WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram. And just ask them, I'm thinking about you. How are you doing? And I think in a hyper-connected world, you'd be surprised how disconnected we are. And just having a touch base with someone you haven't spoken in a while, I think it'd be amazing at just improving your day, their day, and just in general, everyone's day.
Very true. That was really good. Excellent. Well, Vlad Cristescu, thank you so much. I've enjoyed having this communication with you very much. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you again and hope to do this again.
Absolutely. Here's to you. All right.
Good.